What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about every Canadian province and territory explained. Now, I am very excited for this video because, like most Americans, I feel like Canada is filled with different places that I do not understand. So today, I'm very interested in learning a little bit about what each province and territory is like, and what they're known for, and just explained in simple terms that even an American like myself can understand. So, let's take a look.
So Canada is made up of 10 provinces and 3 territories. Aaron, explain what exactly is a territory?
A territory is different from a province because provinces actually have their own government, a provincial government. Territories do not have that, so all their laws and policies are done directly through the federal government.
Oh, wow, I never knew that. See, I'm already learning. This is great. I always wondered, what is the difference between a province and a territory? Because they have different names, that distinction. Like, it's not 13 provinces, it's 10 provinces and 3 territories. And by the way, for that matter, I am already ahead of the curve for most Americans. Believe it or not, most Americans, adult Americans, do not know how many Canadian provinces there are. Most of us don't even know the word province. I'm being serious now. This is a real thing. Let alone know the territories. So most Americans don't know Canadian geography at all. Seriously. So I already feel a little bit ahead of the curve here.
Plus, they have like very little population, right? Like,
Absolutely, yeah. The lowest populations.
and it's a well-known fact, all Canadians have a secret stash of maple syrup on them at all times for maple syrup emergencies. Anyway,
Okay.
without further ado, let's jump into it. Alberta! Capital, Edmonton. Largest city, Calgary.
Okay.
It's the rustic cowboy province of Canada. They even have the Calgary Stampede that takes place every year.
They're also
The rustic cowboy province of Canada. That would surprise a lot of Americans to know that there is the cowboy, old western Canadian province, kind of like Texas here in the United States. Is that a fair comparison to make? Is this actually true? It's not like a stereotype. This is actually what Alberta is known for. And it's, why not? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like funny how there's such a similarity to what we have here in America.
also kind of like the energy province. They have a lot of oil. There's a big
Okay.
oil industry out there.
Okay.
Places like the Athabasca Sands. Drumheller has that strange-looking rock formation place. It's also known as like
wow.
the dinosaur capital of the world.
They also have lots of ranches and farms. They also have the largest national park, Wood Buffalo.
This is the largest national park in Canada. It's not like Jasper or Banff. It's Wood Buffalo. Really? And it's funny hearing what these Canadian places are known for. Like, known for energy and... what else did he say it was known for?
Drumheller has that strange-looking rock formation place. It's also known as like the dinosaur capital of the world.
That's what it was. The dinosaur capital of the world. Cool.
Banff National Park, which is arguably one of the most beautiful parks.
Aaron, when you think of people from Alberta, what kind of comes to mind?
More conservative, outdoorsy, kind of cowboyish people. Almost like a Texas of Canada.
Texas.
Ah! Ha ha! They said the thing. They said it. The Texas of Canada. That's truly not really what most Americans think of Canada. When we think of Canadians, I don't know what we think of. We think of burly men with lumberjack axes in red plaid, living in a log cabin, drinking syrup. That's the stereotype. I don't know what Americans really think of when we think of Canadians. But this is Alberta. It's cool that it seems like there is, depending on, I don't know, your specific preferences, your specific values, you can find a place in Canada for you, like maybe Alberta.
Texas of Canada. There we go. And fun fact, Alberta is officially rat-free.
British Columbia, also known as
I learned about that once. There's no rats in Alberta. Yes. What's this? British Columbia.
British Columbia, also known as BC. The capital is Victoria, and the largest city is Vancouver.
This is
Yes.
kind of like the adventure province of Canada. Great mountains, a lot of biking and hiking and cool
wow.
stuff you could do. Yeah.
It's also
Yeah, most Americans have heard of Vancouver, maybe not necessarily British Columbia, but Vancouver, outdoorsy. It's very outdoorsy, adventure-y, the adventure province. That's cool.
kind of backup Hollywood or Hollywood of the North.
So many movies and TV shows are filmed over here. It's just like you
Oh.
could use their backdrops.
Really? There's like a Hollywood of Canada, and it's in British Columbia. Like Vancouver? Like a lot of stuff is filmed there, I guess?
It's also the only province that touches the Pacific Ocean and also gets lots of rain. It's also home to the only true desert in Canada, the Okanagan.
Aaron, what do you think when it comes to like
There's a desert in Canada? Who knew?
British Columbia people?
Generally like a sort of hippie West Coast vibe, very trendy, kind of hipstery.
Kind of like California. I don't mean to like make a direct comparison with each Canadian province to an American state, but that's how it's being presented before me. It's just like, oh, very trendy, very hippie-ish, very cool. Hey, dude, like very California. Okay.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of retirees too, something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, even my grandparents live out there, so.
Oh, well, there you go. Affirmed. Manitoba, capital and largest city, Winnipeg.
Manitoba. No offense to Manitoba, but we're officially getting into Canadian provinces that Americans really have never heard of. Manitoba. And again, I mean no offense by that. It's like, I don't know. Like, how often do Canadians think of, like, Nevada? Or something? I don't know. How much more random can you get? Like, New Hampshire? I don't know. Sometimes you just don't think about it. I think that's Manitoba.
Winnipeg.
It's sort of the intro to the prairies. There's also a joke here that's
Although I will say, not to leave that off, that if you're an American who lives, like, touching the US-Canada border, you're probably a lot more aware of the Canadian provinces there that are touching the US. That's fair to say.
said in Canada that the people there always say, "We were born here, what's your excuse?"
There's a lot of lakes here. It's kind of like the lake province, and a lot of people from the First Nations or the Native Americans. They have a lot of influence over this area.
And further
Okay.
up north, you find Churchill, one of the only few settlements on the Hudson's Bay, locally known as Polar Bear Capital of the World.
Polar bears? There's actually polar bears in Manitoba? Like wandering around? Like what's going on in this picture?
Oh, and Winnipeg is kind of known as the murder capital of Canada. I think in one year they had 6 murders.
What? Murder? Wait. Huh? Murder capital of the world. We'll put a pin in that. Only 6. Is that a joke? That's not that many. When we do murder in America, we mean it. We go all the way. 6 is rookie numbers. But seriously, is this true? Is it the murder capital of Canada? I don't think I'm ever going there. And is it such a low number, which is oddly impressive in a way?
All 6. What are
Watch
we ever
out.
going to do?
Oh, it's a war zone out there. No, but seriously, they got a lot of cool stuff. There's like a really nice looking human rights museum.
Ah.
There's that bridge.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't really meet a lot of people in Manitoba, so I don't really have much of an opinion. But I'm guessing you're
Okay.
probably outdoorsy, rugged types if you're going to be out in Manitoba where it's cold and there's polar bears, so...
Outdoorsy, rugged. We're really overgeneralizing here, which I don't like to do, but for the sake of me, an American, getting, learning all this in a few minutes, okay. Manitoba, rugged, outdoorsy, you love polar bears, you murder 6 of each other a year, okay.
New Brunswick, the capital... capital of Fredericton, and
New Brunswick. That's another one that, Americans don't really think about. Let me be clear when I say that. Americans know of Ontario, the name, not necessarily where it is or what goes on there, but the name Ontario, Toronto, which some Americans think is a province, and maybe a little British Columbia, Nova Scotia, because of that one song. That's about it. I'm being completely serious. That's about it for American knowledge.
And largest city, Moncton.
This is kind of known as
Quebec. Some Americans know of Quebec because it is French. But that is all.
the Loyalist province, because a lot of the people that were loyal to the British Empire during the American Revolution fled to this place.
Yeah,
Oh,
some people
wow.
also might call it Petit Quebec. It is the second most populous French-speaking province, and is also
Oh! New Brunswick is French? New Brunswick is French. I never knew that. I thought Quebec was the French-speaking area of Canada. New Brunswick is like Little Quebec. It's French. I never knew that. Oh my gosh. This changes everything. It doesn't change anything, but that's good to know. That's the kind of little detail I'm hoping to like learn about today. That's okay.
the only officially bilingual province.
I like how you guys say that. Bilingual. I
Yeah.
said bilingual.
We enunciate well.
Bilingual. I don't say it like that either. Bilingual. It's the only bilingual province because Quebec is very French. So New Brunswick is like 50-50. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, historically they were part of Acadia, the French-speaking area of Canada. And fun fact, this is actually basically where the Cajun people came from. They actually migrated from Canada into Louisiana, so that's where we get Cajuns from.
And again, it's a maritime
Okay.
province, so you get lots of lighthouses, fishing, rappelling off of cliffs. It has a Bay of Fundy with the
Cool.
biggest tidal change in the world at over
Whoa. That is a cool rock.
16 meters or 53 feet for you Americans out there.
Newfoundland. How do you guys pronounce it?
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Put the emphasis on the new, not
Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm glad we're touching on this as well. Because again, another place I do not know anything about. What goes on up there? It's like to the upper right, northeast, Canada. What goes on up there? I want to know.
the fin, which is like an FN, not even an I.
Because I pronounced it Newfoundland before, but all the
Yeah.
Canadians are like, no, that's not how you say
Well,
it.
because it's not blurred.
Anyway, the largest city and capital is St. John's.
It is the easternmost province and split into two parts, one being Newfoundland, where about 90% of the population lives, and Labrador, which mostly cuts off Quebec from the Atlantic.
Okay, I want to soak this in for a moment. Why is it Newfoundland and Labrador? That is one province. That is the name, Newfoundland and Labrador. Why isn't it Newfoundland, the province, and then Labrador, another province? I do not understand that. Maybe they'll explain.
Capital is St. John's.
It is the easternmost province and split into two parts, one being Newfoundland, where about 90% of the population lives, and Labrador, which mostly cuts off Quebec from the Atlantic.
So Newfoundland has 90% of the people. I did not know that. Labrador has like barely anybody. Who's in What are you doing in Labrador? What are you doing up there? Newfoundland, okay, fine. I think it's Labrador we gotta keep our eye on.
About 90% of the population lives, and Labrador, which mostly cuts off Quebec from the Atlantic.
Take that, Quebec.
And, fun fact, they have their own time zone. Yeah, it's a half-hour difference.
Fun fact, this is actually
What?
the newest province established in 1949. Basically, it was like the UK's last colonial stronghold, and
The final province to be added to Canada. 1949. Not, 50, what am I saying, 70, 75 years ago? There's people alive today who were born before Newfoundland and Labrador was a province. Wow.
in America until they had a referendum, and then they were ceded back to Canada. So yeah, the people here are known for being super nice and friendly, but they have a very strange accent. Aaron, how would you describe it?
Almost Canadian-Irish.
Canadian Irish. In other videos I've done, I have heard of this Newfoundland accent. I never heard of it as being like Irish. I've heard examples of it, and it's just like you can't understand what they're saying. No offense, it's just like it's a strong accent. And I never knew that Canada had like a random strong accent like that. I don't even know what in America would be the equivalent, like a super strong southern accent that you can't understand. Maybe? This is that, except it's Irish. Why is it Irish?
Because there were a lot of Irish settlers there.
Aaron, can you do the accent?
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Then here's a clip.
You boys don't mind if I like to chop a cigarette, yeah? Well, actually, I have asthma, so... Don't worry, I don't mind, boy. If it gets too much, just roll down the window, you suggy baby.
Is this an exaggeration? This is a dramatization. This is not real. Is it?
Put that up, boy, I'm froze dead.
Nova Scotia, capital and largest city, Halifax.
This is
Okay.
the Seaboard Coast, or Canada's ocean playground, as placed on their license plates.
Basically, this is the place where Scotland tried to start a colony. Although it didn't quite work out, the residents still kept true to their tradition.
I didn't know that Canada had all this like Scottish, Irish ancestry. I should though. I should have thought of that because of the British influence on Canada's history. Huh. Seems to be all on like the very eastern part of Canada though, the closest part to Britain.
Traditions even to this day, and thus the name Nova Scotia, meaning New Scotland.
New Scotland. Nova Scotia is New Scotland. Who knew? Who freaking... Okay. It's all starting to make sense.
They even have a small but kind of diminishing Scottish Gaelic-speaking community. You can find them every so often here and there.
Yeah, and there's this place called Peggy's Cove. It has a somewhat famous lighthouse that everyone
Wow.
goes crazy after for some reason.
Peggy's Cove!
Yeah, Nova Scotia. I remember growing up, like, knowing the name Nova Scotia very randomly. I was convinced that was somewhere in Europe or, like, Asia. It took so long into my adult life to know that it's in Canada, as embarrassing as it is.
And it's also where the show Trailer Park Boys is set.
Really?
Oh, there was also like this huge explosion in 1917. It was like the largest man-made explosion prior
Yes, I did a video series about the Halifax explosion. Crazy story. Very sad.
to the invention of nuclear bombs.
Two ships collided into each other, and one of them happening to be an ammunition ship. The whole city was destroyed, many people died. It's not a pleasant time.
Yep.
Think about it, in Canada. Ontario.
Yep, okay. And with that, holy cow, we're exactly halfway done with this video, and I've just been blathering on for so long. I didn't know this was going to take so long, but I think this is a very valuable video series for me to actually learn about. This is like the groundwork for truly understanding Canada as a country, its the provinces, territories, the geography, the people. This is good. I'm enjoying this, but I think I'm going to stop here for now and continue the remainder of this in part 2. So, if you've enjoyed this so far, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of the provinces we have discussed so far. And if you're interested in more videos like this or part 2 of this, feel free to subscribe for more. Until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.